On a late night in January 2018, the Roxbury police station in Boston would receive a call from a family reporting a suspicious smell all throughout their house. They would claim that they'd been dealing with a growing stench that had now gotten too much to bear. Upon police arrival, they could clearly smell the horrid stench, but couldn't find the cause. That was until they searched the attic, where they found the dead body of a woman wrapped up and decomposing. The family claimed to have no idea how the body had gotten there. Though, what's especially odd about this case is that the only way to get into the attic is from the house's master bedroom. The body was never identified, and to this day the case remains unsolved. These next photos are pretty disturbing. In 2014, someone posted these pictures that feature a room in their attic that looks almost identical to a prison cell. The individual who posted the pictures claimed they had just moved in and only recently found out about the room. The room is painted light green, has one light, is only 4 feet tall, has a foam bed, and has a metal grate on both the inside and the outside of the door. Most disturbingly though, is the fact that the door has a lock on it that can only be accessed from the outside. The poster also states that in that specific part of the attic there are no neighbors close enough to hear anyone yelling from inside. It's hard to think of something good that this room could have been used for. We can only imagine what its real purpose was, but considering the metal grate on the door, the foam bed inside, and the lock on the door, there's a high chance it wasn't good. This one is just downright disturbing. A female by the name Tracy from Rock Hill, South Carolina started experiencing some strange occurrences in her house. One night, at around 2:30 a.m., she claimed to hear weird noises coming from the attic, along with nails popping out from her ceiling. At first, she claimed to have thought it was something related to the paranormal, but she would later find out that it was her ex-boyfriend who she had broken up with 12 years prior, and who had only recently been released from prison. Upon Tracy hearing the sounds, she would send up her adult nephew into the attic to see what was causing the disturbance. And that was when Tracy's ex-boyfriend was found asleep in a back corner of the attic. After being discovered, the man would run downstairs and out of the house before police could arrive on scene. Upon further inspection, police would discover Tracy's ex-boyfriend had rigged the ceiling vents in such a way that he could look down at Tracy in her bedroom from his spot in the attic. They also found several sonic cups filled with human waste. Another thing that should be mentioned is that the only way to access Tracy's attic was through a door from inside the home, more specifically in a hallway that connects her children's bedrooms. The whole thing is really disturbing, especially along with the fact that the man has yet to be caught. 10-year-old Alex Kettler was your everyday average kid. Though, in 2013, while Alex was at his grandmother's house for a routine visit, he would get bored and decide to entertain himself by exploring his grandmother's attic. After a few minutes, Alex would find what he described as a strange-looking case. Upon further inspection, Alex would open the case and find a dead body inside. He would notify his family of what he found, and of course they were horrified. It turns out the container was a sarcophagus tomb from Egypt with a mummified body inside. The mummified body was taken to a Berlin hospital. Experts believe the find to be an actual mummy, or if not, an incredibly accurate forgery. In March of 2014, a call was made to police reporting 4 live hand grenades that were found in an attic in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. The family was going through some old army uniforms in their attic when they came across the grenades. The family was obviously shaken up by the situation, as if they weren't as careful, things could have gone bad fast. But luckily, the Milwaukee Bomb Squad was able to detonate the grenades before anyone was hurt. In January of 2016, Virginia police were called to investigate a vacant duplex in a neighborhood known for a lot of gang activity. Tragically, upon arrival, they found the lifeless body of a child located in the attic of the duplex. It's unclear how long the body had been there, and on top of that, to this day, the body has yet to be identified. What I find most disturbing is the fact that neighbor Deborah Plum claimed that nobody had lived on the second floor of the building for months leading up to the tragic discovery. Stanley Carter was a simple 21-year-old man down on his luck in life. And because of that, as a last resort, in 2008, Stanley would beg some of his old college friends to let him crash at their place until he got back on his feet. But after a long overstayed visit with no signs of Stanley trying to get his life back on track, his friends would ultimately kick him out, as they claimed he had overstayed his welcome at that point. Stanley, obviously frustrated by this, would find other opportunity in the form of the next-door neighbor's attic, where he successfully hid and overall lived for a week. Though Stanley would be found by homeowner Stacy Ferens, who stated that she first noticed him when she caught him coming down from her attic wearing her daughter's pants and her own sweatshirt and shoes. Stacy would later state that looking back, she believed Stanley had been helping himself to not only her clothes, but also her food. Stanley would later be arrested for breaking into Stacy's home through the attic. Reddit user Mostly Grapes posted this photo of a monkey back in 2014. The user claimed to have found it in his attic, and while it's definitely one of the more tame findings, it's still pretty horrifying, especially when you take a better look at the condition of the toy. Definitely not something you'd want to find in your attic. Reddit user Ace Floors X posted this image of a photo back in August of 2017. The user claimed to have found the photo in the attic of his vacation home. They also claim that while in the image itself it's hard to see, they can make out the outline of a house, but nothing else. Just under the photo, handwritten text that reads, "Do you see him?" with seemingly random capitalization is clearly shown. At least from what I can see, the photo itself is just black with obvious scratch marks, though comments replying to the post claim to see a figure. Either way, it makes you wonder what the backstory to this photo really was. Zhang was a homeless man in China desperate to find anywhere to live that wasn't on the busy streets. And unfortunately, house owner, surnamed Wang, would become victim to Zhang's desires. In May of 2014, Wang became suspicious, as he would start to one by one slowly notice money and other valuable items go missing from his home, despite any signs of breaking and entering. And finally, on May 29th, Wang would alert police, as upon his arrival back from work, he would notice one of his doors locked from the inside, something he obviously didn't do. When police arrived, they would discover a hole in Wang's kitchen ceiling, which they soon found out led to an attic-like crawl space in the top of Wang's 3-story apartment building. Upon further inspection, police would discover Zhang living inside. Zhang would later confess that he had nowhere to live, which forced him to take up residence in the space above Wang's apartment. He would also confess that he did the same thing with another resident from the apartment building. Zhang was found guilty of using both apartments for his personal needs, and even stealing the equivalent of $320 US. After some students in Norway had bought a new house, they of course wanted to explore everything it had to offer. And after searching around in the attic for a while, it looked to be your average attic with random boxes lying around and dust pretty much everywhere. But after one of them had gotten suspicious as to the small size of the attic compared to the rest of the house, they were able to find a hidden room by kicking down one of the walls. The room itself featured an alarm made from a single light bulb, an old map of Europe, and a sign that translated to, "If you got a bad stomach, you're not allowed to enter." It's safe to assume the room was some kind of refugee bunker during World War II, though still a pretty disturbing sight to have found in your own house. This one's a little more normal, but still pretty horrifying. Reddit user BayMe would post this photo showing what they had found in their attic. The photo clearly shows a giant wasp's nest taken from their attic. Luckily it looks abandoned, though it's definitely still not something you'd want to come across, especially considering its size. Four college students had just recently moved into their new home for the semester. And like any new house owner, they wanted to explore all the rooms, which of course included the attic. Though, after realizing the attic wasn't empty, they got a little concerned. And that's when they found this Halloween-like Grim Reaper. Why the house owner would leave this in the attic is still unknown. And while it's only a decoration, the fact that the house owner left it behind is still pretty disturbing.